I solved the Kiesel Type X problem. Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Rob Foglia with Notes and Noise, our YouTube channel here. And hey, I wanted to come to you today because there's been a problem that I've seen with the Kiesel Type X for a minute. Now, I love these guitars. Maybe it's the hard rock background that I have, the heavy metal fan background. Maybe it just reminds me of Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. I don't know, but I love these guitars. They're fantastic instruments. Kiesel makes a really nice guitar. They really do. It's a shame they've actually discontinued the Type X. You know, it was my favorite model. I'm lucky enough to own a handful of Kiesels here and a few Type X's. And there's one pet peeve I've had with them over the years. They have only one control knob. As a jazz and blues guy, I need a tone knob. I just do. And so I can use this when I'm going to more of a blues jam, a rock jam, if I'm playing something that's louder. But when I'm playing jazz, as you can hear behind me here, what you're hearing is just the original wiring of this instrument. And it sounds too bright. It almost sounds harsh. Like, and this is even at some points with the volume rolled back a little bit to try to cut some of the harshness. Now, what I've done with some of my single pickup models is I've done what I call the Foglia Mod, and that is I've installed a second pot. I've installed a tone pot in here, so that way I can roll the tone back. But even for that, like this, I can only bring this to a jam that's like a fusion jam or something because, you know, it's just still too bright. It's still the bridge pickup. It's going to be too bright for me to bring to a pure jazz gig or something that I really need a pure jazz sound. I'm excited because I finally figured out how to solve this issue. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years. I thought I might just have to hold on to these and play them whenever I want to play some rock, but I finally figured it out. Let me show you what we're doing. Before I go any further, let me show you exactly why I couldn't do the Foglia Mod on my dual pickup guitars. So you can see the Foglia Mod, I added a second knob to it, and you can see on the back, you know, without taking the back of this off, that's taking up basically this entire electronics cavity, right? I can't add, I couldn't add a switch in here if there were two pickups. I couldn't add a switch because there's just not enough room. That's exactly why I can't do the Foglia Mod to this guitar. You see, because of the space that the switch takes up, and I'll show you here when I get the cavity off in a moment, because of this space, this is pretty much full. You know, I mean, the output jack is coming out from where you can see where my thumb is. The output jack's going right there, like through the wood even. So it is just a minimal amount of wood that's been taken out of this guitar. So you have a minimal amount of space to do some wiring. So because of that, what I did was I got my hands on one of these. It is basically, I believe they call it a concentric pot. Let me see if there's a name on there. Yeah, it's a CTS concentric control pot. It's actually made for a jazz bass, and but basically what it is, it's got two shafts here. You can kind of see it in the video. I'll take a better close up here with some B-roll. Got two shafts here that allow me to control both the volume and the tone if I wire it up correctly. I'm excited to see how this goes. If it works well, I can do it for my other Type X's here, my other Kiesels that have one knob. Let's get started. All right, I've got her on the workbench here. Workbench, aka my desk. Let's go ahead and get it started. Get the old knob and get the old pot out while my soldering iron is heating up. Again, I am excited to get this mod done. It's a mod I've wanted to do for a minute, or you know, a problem I should say that I've wanted to solve for a minute, and a mod that really just had the idea last week. Luckily, I was able to find the parts online. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I always recommend that you take a picture of your wiring before you do anything. That way, if you need to reference anything later, if you're having some issues, you can always reference things later. But we've got the old pot. Well, it's got to be desoldered, obviously, but then it will be ready to come out. Now, I am by no means a professional luthier, although I have done a fair amount of mods over the years, so I feel very comfortable doing this. Our ground from our switch disconnected. Now, again, the blue is the hot from the switch. Let's get that off here. There it goes. Okay, remember, blue is the hot from our switch, black is the ground from our switch. we've got our new pot. I'm excited to get this thing in there. Let's see how she goes. Here's her CTS markings. Hopefully it'll focus on there. Come on, computer. First thing I'm actually going to do before I even install it, or before I even wire anything to it, is actually just check. I want to see which ones, which side is which part, the top or the bottom, is going to be for the volume or for the tone. I want the volume to be basically the wider ring, the one on the bottom here. But I believe that means it's the one on the top. So we're gonna see. We're gonna test this out. So just as my wiring diagram tells me, our top lugs here, I guess the ones that'll be closest to the body once it's in there, are going to control our volume pot. Our bottom lugs are going to control our tone pot. Our tone pot is going to be the top shaft, and the volume is going to be the bottom shaft here. And yeah, cool. All right, so now the fun part. Now I get to wire up my pot itself. Now, I know I was a bit clickbaity with my title of this video, solving the Kiesel Type X problem, but I do think it's a problem that, honestly, that Kiesel, they discontinued it. It's a great model. It's a model that I think a lot of guys like me that grew up in the 90s into the early 2000s, where that was very much like my heyday of listening to hard rock and everything. I was a huge Pantera fan and Dimebag Darrell fan for many years. And let me trim that part off. And so anyway, because of that, like, that's the whole reason I first bought a Type X. It was Dimebag Darrell. I know he didn't have a Type X, but I wanted a custom guitar, and it was close to the old Dean ML shape, right? Very close to it anyway. And so I just thought, well, I want to make a custom guitar, and I want to pay homage to a legend in Dimebag. Well, let me go ahead and make a Type X guitar. And I'm glad I did. I love the guitar. This guitar I actually bought secondhand, but if I remember while I'm making the video, I'll throw a picture of the guitar that I'm talking about on the screen, and so that way you can see it. But yeah, that was the first headless guitar that I ever had, and and it's a great instrument. Kiesel makes a fantastic instrument, and it's a shame that they've discontinued their Type X. They've got, no exaggeration here, but probably a little bit of an exaggeration here. They've got, like, at least half a dozen, somewhere between half a dozen to a dozen different, S-shape, Strat shape, whatever you want to call it, models that are in production on their site, from like their Ares to the Vader to that new one that came out, to the Kyber, to the Osiris. I mean, so many, and again, I know they make great guitars, and I know modern, they're very much trying to appeal to metal guys. That's another reason why they don't put tones in here, because I know nothing against, metal guys by any means. Again, I used to be one. But I know, a lot of metal guys playing high gain, a lot of high gain. You're not trying to roll off your tone, because then it becomes super muddy, right? So anyway, perfect. That looks good. So here, I'll get back to that in a second. But there you go. There's our cap. It's a huge cap, but it's what I got from the guitar parts. It's a Bumblebee cap. It is 0.047 UF. I have no idea what UF stands for. I'm sure somebody smarter than me will tell me that. But yeah, got it soldered. Got it. If it'll focus, got it grounded to the side here, and got it on that lug. Got it to the lug of the tone. So anyway, but it's a shame that Kiesel discontinued it, and I know it's not really a problem that they don't have any that they don't have, you know, a tone on here. It's just a problem for probably 5% of the players, right? Because I know so many Kiesel guys are not going to, you know, really worry about the tone. But, you know, the reality is, like, the 5% of players that need it, like I do, it's like, man, it's really something that's missing. And so it's going to be nice. I'm excited to get this thing going here and to have this... To have this become what I've been wanting. As I mentioned, I am not a luthier, so as I just got myself a little bit. But so when I go to plug this thing in, if we're having issues, well, hey, that's, you know, kind of par for the course for a DIY job when you're trying to figure some stuff out. But that's okay. You know, it's nothing when you're doing this stuff. There's nothing that you're going to do that can't be undone unless you're putting holes in it, or, you know, or something like that, or you know, disassembling something. You know, like I can redo any of the electronics back to normal, especially with that trusty picture that we talked about before. I'm also going to kind of dry fit this in before I do, so that way I can see, because I am putting something new in with this cap, and I want to make sure that it fits. Looks like it's getting caught on something, but should be going. I can't really tell what it's getting caught on. The only thing I can maybe think of is the fact that the pot is a little wider than the old one. I wouldn't have thought they would put it that close to the edge. Maybe that could be my issue right now. I know I've done other CTS pots inside of my Type X's, so that can't be it, right? Unless... Now, granted, I haven't done any with a pickup selector in it, so who knows? Maybe that is the problem. Whew, that was something else, I will say. All right, so I've got the pot in position now. Man, I had to do what I'd hate to do on a guitar like this, and that is bust out the drill, because it's such a beautiful guitar. And I was like, man, you know, as I mentioned earlier, once you use a drill, you can't go back. And I had to widen the hole, as you can see here, to get this thing in. Now, it wasn't widening the hole because the shaft was bigger. It was widening the hole because of down here. You can see this is rubbing against it, and I really am out of room right here. I couldn't, you know, because of where the cavity is. I wasn't going to try to mess with this. Yeah, so I ended up, so honestly, I'm this deep into it, and it's gonna work. Like, you know, I took the bottom knob here and laid it on here. Like, it's gonna cover the hole just fine, so you won't be able to see it. But at the same time, you know, I'll probably be a one and done with this mod, just because sadly Kiesel uses such small parts. And honestly, again, I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but I've always had an issue with some of the Kiesel tone that I get out of them, like their stock electronics. It's probably because of cheap little crap like this. You know, I mean, they're gonna say their pots are great, but like, man, this thing's a small, you know, piece of crap, and it's yeah, it's not a big beefy CTS here that is getting the job done. So anyway, I'm gonna get this thing wired up now, and we'll get the knobs on, and we should be done then at that point. I think we've got it this time. I ended up having to go in and actually Dremel out some of the inside so I could make this thin enough, and I'm pretty sure now, I'm actually going to use the washer as well here, but I'm pretty sure now that we should be good. All right, I think we're good. I'm not going to over tighten it. Yeah, we're on. As you can see, there's a little bit of gap there. It'll be covered by the knob. I'm not too worried about it. Although, as I mentioned earlier, if I could do a mod without drilling, I would greatly prefer that. But I ended up, again, drilling the hole out a little bit and then going through and dremeling the part of the hole there as well. So now all that's left is let's get these two ground wires on, and we should be good to go. All right, so we should be good. Let's test her out. All right, y'all, we are good. We have it on here. We're wired up. I'll give you a sound demo here in just a second so you could hear it. Biggest takeaway, you know, if I had to ask myself, would I do it again? Maybe. I mean, it sounds great. It definitely does. It was such a pain though, and it definitely. I was worried when I was going through doing it, just because it's such a beautiful guitar, one of the most beautiful guitars I own, and I was like, man, I really don't want to mess this thing up, mess up the way it looks. But it sounds great. It's gonna do what I need it to do, which is what's important, right? It's gonna be more of a jazz guitar. Which is what I needed to do. But without further ado, let me give you some sound demos. I'll have a close up on the camera so you can see where the controls are. And yeah, hope you enjoy.
Bye.